Hello, everyone. I'm going to pause for another moment to listen to the sound of the rain. I don't know about you, but I always feel cozy content when I hear the rain. And you may be wondering why you just looked at a glass holding a rose and a glass with Winnie the Pooh on it at that. A few reasons I decided to share that with you today. One, as simple as symbolism of a mother's love for her oldest daughter. Periodically, my mom will bring to me flowers that she has picked that have bloomed somewhere in her yard. Roses have a special meaning for a couple of reasons. One, my mom had a rose bush that hadn't bloomed for some time, and then it bloomed at just the right moment when it was in remembrance of my soulmate in fur, Rue, who had left Earth from cancer. But even before that, roses have had a special place in my heart, and probably in my mom's more than we've talked about. But when my grandpa was alive, my grandpa was a master gardener, not by certification, but certainly by the certification of life and experience. He was a farmer, and when he was no longer farming, he still loved to plant a garden, still loved to plant flowers. And I don't know about you that may have grandparents still living, or even parents as they get older, and maybe even yourself. You reach a point where you just don't need anything materialistic. And my grandpa, who was so hard to decide what would you get grandpa for his birthday or for Father's Day, we started to get him rose bushes. And he would plant those right outside the porch that you entered into their house. And fast forward to September of a given year that my grandpa left Earth. And my grandpa had made my grandma promise that if he left Earth before her, she would move into an apartment complex that was set up for assisted living. And not so much because my grandma had failing health, but so that she would not live alone in the country. So my grandma honored that promise that she had made, and in October, she decided to have an auction and sell everything that she didn't need before she moved into her new apartment. And my mom had went to my grandparents. They didn't live near us, and she had went to my grandparents for the weekend with the auction taking place on a Sunday, and I was going up for the day. And it was late October. It was considerably cold, to the point that there was snowflakes dancing in the sky. There had been frost in the morning. And my mom had walked outside before the auction, and she turned and looked, and in full bloom was a rose bush. And she always felt that that was a sign from my grandpa saying all was well with what was transpiring for the day. And fast forward a couple of years, and my husband and I moved into the home that we're now in. We live on a lake. We also have a pond, both of which hold fish. And why I say that is my grandpa taught me as a little girl how to fish. So one particular September evening, I was walking around the yard of our new home. We had just moved in within the couple of weeks of then. And I didn't yet know the yard. I certainly saw the yard, but I didn't know all of life that lived in the yard. So I didn't know how the leaves would look on the trees when they changed in the fall. I didn't know what mums might be in the yard to bloom only at fall. And I was walking around the yard on this particular evening, really missing my grandpa. Wishing he could go fishing on the lake, wishing he could see the pond, knowing how much he would enjoy the slice of heaven that we had moved to. And I walked around our garage, and there in full bloom was a rosebush. And I knew in that moment my grandpa was not only saying hello, he really liked where we lived. So for me, I don't believe that death is an ending. And how I believe is we always get signs and messages that it's never truly goodbye, it's just see you in a different way. And so, thus, this rose bush, not a rose bush, but this rose that you see in the glass, is why I share with you today. Some of you may be experiencing the loss of a loved one, and some of you are experiencing loss that feels a lot like death because of what you have known is either changing or no longer the same. And my wish for you is that you will find your own rosebush in full bloom. And I don't mean literal, because maybe for you a rosebush doesn't resonate. Maybe it is a rock that you find, as I now look at this stream and see the rocks at the bottom. Maybe it's a certain bird. Maybe it's a song. Maybe it's a certain word that you hear. It's whatever means something to you. But I say, I wish for you on this journey that you may be on of uncertainty or anxiousness or grief, may you find your rosebush. Namaste.